Fog here, and this lesson is on multiples of fractions. Our Common Core strand is here, and so our essential question is how can we write a product of a whole number and a fraction as a product of a whole number and a unit fraction. Okay, so we're going to do other fractions other than unit fractions in this lesson. So here's we're going to access some prior knowledge. So use the model to represent the fraction as a product of a whole number. So product means multiply, you guys. So as a multiplication of a whole number and a unit fraction. Remember, a unit fraction has 1 in the numerator. Okay, so here's 5, 6. Okay, do you remember in the last lesson with Tristan's pizza party that he had? Okay, so here was 5, 6 right here. So we can add up all these 1, 6 plus 1, 6 plus 1, 6 plus 5 times, okay? So we can represent it as 5, 6 as adding up 1, 6, 5 times, or we can write 5, 6 as 5 of these 1, 6, or 5 times 1, 6. So here's the whole number times the unit fraction, okay? So that's what they're asking here. So let's do that with this one here. Let me shrink that up right there. All right, so 2/3. I'm going to do a different model on this one right here. Okay, so there's 1/3. Okay, so there's my unit fraction of 1/3. There's 1 times 1/3. So I'm going to do 2 of them. Okay, there's 2 times 1/3. So that's going to equal 2/3 because there's 2/3 right there. Okay. All right, so how can you write a fraction as a product of a whole number and a unit fraction? All right, so by writing a fraction, this is what we did, as the sum of repeated unit fractions, then you can use multiplication to show the repeated additions, like we did with that pizza one right there. So it is the product of the number of repeated unit fractions and the unit fraction. So how many of the unit fractions did you add together? That's your whole number times the unit fraction. Okay, so here we go. So Mia is making 4 pans, or is it Maya? I don't know. Mia, I think. So is making 4 pans of baking macaroni casserole. For each pan, she needs 2/3 cup cheese. Okay, so her measuring cup can scoop 1/3 of a cup of cheese. So how many scoops of cheese does she need for the 4 pans? Okay, so what we're going to do is use a model to write the product of, since we have 4 pans and each of them has 2/3 of a cup. See how that's not a unit fraction anymore? So it's going to be 4 times 2/3 is the product of a whole number and a unit fraction. So we're going to get to our knowledge of unit fractions in here. All right, so here's a two third size parts. Here's a third size part and here's another third size part. So here's 2 third size parts. Okay, there's 3 parts here and the 2 of them are shaded. Okay, so that represents 2/3. All right, so 2/3 equals 1/3 plus 1/3. Okay, or 2 times 1/3. Okay, so now we got the unit fractions in there. Okay, so here's the product of the whole number times the unit fraction. So 2 times 1/3 is the same as 2/3 right there. All right. All right, so but Mia has 4 pans of casserole, so each pan needs 2/3 cup of cheese. Okay, so one pan, here's one pan is 2 times 1/3, which is 2/3. So 2 pans is going to be 2 of them. So there's 2 of these, so that's what this 2 is for. 2 times 1/3. Okay, and then we multiply these 2 together to get 4 times 1/3, which is 4/3. Okay, can you see that there's 4/3 right there? If we added all these up, here's 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 plus 1/3 is 4/3. Okay, well that's 2 pans. Here's 3 pans. 3 pans is going to be 3 of these 2 times 1/3. So 3 times 2 is 6. So 6 times 1/3 gets me 6/3. Can you see all these 6/3 over here? Okay, and here's the fourth one. So it's going to be 4 times 2 times 1/3, which is 8 times 1/3. So here it is as the product of a whole number and a unit fraction. So it equals 8/3. Okay, so 4 times what goes right here, and I'm just reading off this last one right here. 4 times 2 times 1/3 is going to equal 8 times 1/3, which is going to equal 8/3 right there. Okay, that's what this says right here. Alrighty. Okay, so let's see, what did I do up here? Oh, okay, so Mia needs how many blank third size scoops of cheese for the 4 pans of macaroni? She's going to need 8 of the third size of these. 8 of, now in math, when you guys get higher in math, you guys, multiplication is the fancy word for of. So when you guys get into algebra 1 and stuff, you see the word of, that just means multiplication. So she needs 8 third size scoops of, there's my of right there, of cheese. Okay? All right. Okay, so the 8 goes right there. All right, so explain how this model of 4 times 2/3 is related to a model of 4 times 2. Okay, well, both models show 4 equal groups. Okay, the equal groups in the model of 4 times 2/3 are parts of a whole. This is my parts of a whole. It's 2/3 of a whole right there. The equal groups in the model of 4 times 2 are parts of a whole. I mean, they're wholes, so it's 4 equal groups of wholes right here. There's no fractions right here, so it's not parts of a whole, it's of a whole right there. All right, so I don't know if that made sense or if that made it more confusing. Let's not get too hung up on that. So what if Mia decided to make 10 pans of macaroni casserole? Describe a pattern you can you could use to find the number of scoops of cheese she would need to use. I'm going to bring that model back up, you guys. Okay, so this model shows that Mia needs two-thirds size scoops, so 2 third-size scoops for 1 pan. So this is 1 pan right here. Okay, all right, now let's keep going. So she's going to need 4 scoops for 2 pans. So can you see there's 4 scoops for 2 pans? So there's going to be 4 third-size scoops right here. And we'll just call them scoops because they're scoops of a third. Okay, and then if we did 6 pans, she's going to need if we did 3 pans, you guys. So 3 pans is going to give us 6. Okay, and so on. So do you see the pattern right here? They just keep doubling because it's 2/3 size of them right there. So the number of scoops is 2 times the number of pans because it's 2/3 of a scoop right there. Okay, so there's 2 scoops in each pan. So if we just multiply this number times 2, that'll tell me how many scoops she's going to need. So she's going to need 20 of the third size scoops, 10 times 2 or 2 times 10 for the 10 pans right there. Okay, does that make sense? They keep doubling, doubling, doubling right there. So let's keep going. Let's go back here. So they kept doubling. So there's 4 third size scoops. Yeah, I'm sorry to go over here. Here's 4 third size scoops. Here's 6 third size scoops on 3 pans. With 4 pans, it made 8 third size scoops, which was 8/3, so it was always times 2. So the number of scoops is 2 times the number of pans. So Mia needs 2 times 10 or 20 third size scoops. Okay, so in this next example, we're going to be writing multiples of non-unit fractions. All right, so I think we're starting off, with 2/5. All right, so let's use a number line to write the multiples of 2/5. Okay, so here's my number line, and I went all the way up to 2 right there, and I cut them up into 5 equal spots right here. So here's 1/5, 2/5, 3/5, 4/5. This is 5/5, 6/5, 7/5, 8/5, 9/5. This is 10/5. This is 0/5 right here. So here's that right there. Okay, so we're going to do multiples of 2/5. So I just jumped by, here's 1 times 2/5, got me to 2/5 right here. Here's another multiple of 2/5, 2 times 2/5. Okay, each hop is going 2/5 of a hop. Here's 3 times 2/5. So 3 times 2/5 jumps to 6/5. Okay, 2 times 2/5 was 4/5. 1 times 2/5 was 2/5. I'm just multiplying the top numbers by the whole numbers right here. Okay, that's what this said right here. We're just multiplying 2/5 by the counting whole numbers right there. Okay, so there's 3 times 2/5 is 6/5. What do you think 4 times 2/5 is? 1, 2. It's going to take me to 8/5 right there. So there's 4 times 2/5. There's 5 times 2/5. Okay, so multiples of 2/5 are, here's 2/5. 4/5, 6/5, 8/5, and 10/5. Okay, because it's 1 times 2/5, 2 times 2/5, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times. I can keep going if you want. So multiples of 2/5 or 4/5, 6/5, 8/5, and 10/5. Okay. Note how each hop on the number line represents 2/5. What do 4 jumps on this number line represent? Okay, if we did 4 jumps, well, 4 jumps would be 2/5, 2/5, 2/5, 2/5. It would take me out to 8/5. 4 times 2/5. Okay, so multiple of 4 and 2/5 is 4 times 2/5 or 8/5, and it would take me out there to 8/5. Okay, all right. 3 times 2/5 equals 6/5, so write 6/5 as a product of a whole number and a unit fraction. Okay, we've done this before, so there's my my number line, and I cut it up into the fifths right here, fifth size parts, and so we're going to do it as 6 fifths. Here's 3 times 2 fifths is right there at 6 fifths right there. And we're going to write this as the product of whole numbers and unit fractions. Okay, this is 1 times 1 fifth. This is 2 times 1 fifth. This is 3 times 1 fifth, 4 times 1 fifth, 5 times 1 fifth. Okay, this time I'm only going by 1 fifth instead of 2 fifths right here. I'm only going by unit fractions. Okay, so right here this is going to be 6 times 1 fifth. So 3 times 2 fifths is the same as 6 times 1 fifth. Isn't that groovy? So 3 times 2 fifths is the same as 6 times 1 fifth. Okay, I hope that helps you guys. All right, and if these are helping you guys and you're at home watching these, go ahead and press like. That would mean a lot to me. Take care, you guys.